My name is Daniel Turner. I'm 52 years old, and for nearly 3 decades, 27 years to be exact, I've worked as a financial analyst in Chicago. I'm a man of habit. My day starts with coffee at 6 a.m., I leave for work by 7 o'clock, and I'm usually home by 6:30 in the evening. For a long time, I believed my life was the definition of stability, predictable, safe, grounded. At least, that's what I thought. My wife, Melissa, is 48. Graceful and gentle, she carried herself with quiet confidence. Throughout most of our marriage, I truly believed we were in sync, partners in every important way. She worked as a teacher, adored children, and had a passion for decorating our home to reflect the changing seasons. Dinner was always ready when I walked through the door. It felt like we were living a beautifully simple life. But in our 23rd year together, everything I thought I knew began to unravel because of one devastating truth. Before I dive into that, you need to understand how picture-perfect everything seemed. Our life was like a well-framed portrait, still, harmonious, until the corners began to curl and the image slowly tore apart. It didn't fall apart all at once. It started with tiny, almost invisible changes. Melissa would spend longer than usual in the bathroom. I began noticing her hands trembled slightly when she was texting. Her workouts at the gym began to stretch, an extra 20 or 30 minutes. Traffic, she'd say casually. And I wanted to trust her. We all want to trust the person we sleep beside, don't we? Because facing the alternative, that they're deceiving us, is a weight that crushes. I never pictured myself as the man who would say, "My wife cheated on me." But that's exactly what happened. What I didn't know then was that the betrayal wasn't just emotional, it cut far deeper. And soon, I would uncover the full extent of it. Most people imagine discovering infidelity as a loud, chaotic confrontation. But my experience was the opposite. Quiet, painful, like time slowing down as my heart broke. It happened one evening when I decided to come home early from work. I had flowers in my hand, no occasion, just a simple gesture to make her smile. But I was the one who got the surprise. The house was empty. Her gym bag sat untouched by the door, and on the kitchen counter was a phone I had never seen before, silent, but buzzing every few seconds with messages. The contact name was saved as Matt Work HR. That night shifted everything. I didn't confront her immediately. I needed certainty. You don't accuse someone of cheating the way you question a missing sock. Once said, it can't be taken back. It breaks something permanent. So, I waited. I observed. I did what any man with a broken heart might do. I paid attention to the growing silence between us, the way her gaze drifted past me. I tracked her car's movements. I checked receipts. And finally, I did something I never thought I'd be capable of. I followed her. What I saw is burned into my memory. She stepped out of a restaurant, laughing, her arm linked with a man I didn't recognize. He was younger, taller. Before they drove off in his car, they kissed. I sat behind the wheel of my own car, frozen, my hands trembling as if trying to hold on to a life that had already slipped through the cracks. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't a lapse in judgment. This was a conscious decision, and I was the collateral damage. But this, as painful as it was only the beginning. Melissa had no idea I had found out. She kept coming home late. She kept feeding me carefully crafted lies. And I played along, calm on the surface, quietly making plans behind the scenes. The first thing I did was protect my assets. Then, I hired a lawyer. I rewrote my will. Set up a new bank account under my name alone. And when I felt ready, steady enough not to explode, I confronted her. Not with rage, but with a quiet, soul-deep sorrow. "Who's Matt from HR?" I asked. She froze. Her expression drained of all color, and the silence between us was louder than any words of remorse could ever be. What followed was a wave of excuses. She claimed it meant nothing, that she was lost, that I'd been too focused on work. The usual lines, the same tired script you've seen 100 times on forums and confession threads. But this wasn't a screen. This was real. This was my life, my marriage, my heart. Melissa begged for forgiveness. She swore she'd cut him out of her life, said she was confused, that it had just happened. But I knew better. Affairs don't just fall from the sky, they grow in dark corners, fed by selfish choices and weak character. I won't claim I was the perfect husband, but I was faithful. I was committed. 2 weeks later, I moved out. People sometimes ask if I regret not staying, not fighting to fix what we had. My answer never changes. You can patch a leak, but you can't patch a flood. The damage was already done, rotting us from the inside out. And I couldn't bear to live beside someone who once looked at another man and decided he was worth risking everything we had built. Still, leaving didn't erase the pain. There's a particular kind of grief that comes with being betrayed by the one person you thought would never hurt you. It doesn't just break your heart, it shatters your perception of reality. You start questioning everything, every shared moment, every smile, every word. But healing, as I would learn, isn't just possible, it's necessary. I started therapy, joined a support group for men facing betrayal from their partners. I found out I wasn't alone. And if you're reading this and living through something similar, you're not alone either. Let me say that again for the ones who feel forgotten, you are not alone. Over time, the fog began to lift. I learned that forgiving someone doesn't mean you have to welcome them back into your life. Forgiveness is about setting yourself free from bitterness, from anger, from the chains of resentment. Despite everything Melissa had done, I eventually let go of the need to get even. And in doing that, I found peace. 3 years later, I met Claire, a widow with 2 grown sons and a laugh that felt like sunlight after years of rain. She reminded me that trust could grow back, even in scorched ground. But that wasn't the final page of the story either. 6 months ago, out of the blue, I received a letter. Handwritten. From Melissa. She was alone again. Divorced. She said she hadn't found peace since the day I walked away. She finally understood the depth of what she'd lost. She was sorry. I didn't write back. Not because I hated her. I simply didn't need anything from her anymore. I had already moved on. Sometimes silence is the most honest kind of closure. Her letter didn't reopen wounds, it reminded me just how far I'd come. I'm sharing this because someone out there is standing where I once stood. Maybe you're staring at the cracks in your marriage. Maybe the truth is already out. Maybe you're just surviving, enduring something you never deserved. If that's you, listen carefully. You're stronger than you think. The pain won't last forever. And yes, love, the real kind, can still find you, even after your heart's been shattered. When my wife betrayed me, I thought it was the end of everything. But it was just the close of one chapter. A painful chapter, yes, but one I needed to finish so I could begin writing something better. If you've ever whispered to yourself, I caught my wife cheating, or I don't know how to forgive this, just know, your story isn't over. You get to decide what comes next. Have you ever faced betrayal like this? What would you have done in my place? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice might be the light someone else needs right now. And if this story resonated with you, pass it along to someone who needs the reminder. Healing is real. And you are not alone.